We wanted to dive into the Cam Newton deal. So Cam Newton, for months, has just been out there since he moved on from Carolina, or Carolina moved on from Cam Newton. And we all wondered where he would land. And New England was always one of those spots where people speculated, well, Tom Brady's gone. All they have is Jarrett Stidham and Brian Hoyer. Seemed like it would be a good fit, and they hesitated. But now they have indeed brought in Cam Newton, and it begs the question, do you think he's going to kick ass in New England?
Well, before we get to that, I think New England was smart. They did what they wanted to do. They let everything kind of sort out. You know what? They did better than what the Bears did. The Bears traded a pick, I believe it was a fourth-rounder, to Jacksonville and gave Nick Foles $20 million in guarantees. Nick Foles. So they were patient, and they waited for Cam Newton. They waited out the market, and they're getting a very accomplished player at a reasonable salary. I mean,
reasonable cakes. That is a bargain.
Yeah,
they got him for a bargain.
Well, that's if he plays that well, and that's the big question.
Well, I think if he's healthy, he'll play pretty well. But it makes sense because all along they said they had a plan, and you just were scratching your head going, is Stidham the plan? That can't be the plan. That just can't be the plan. And
well, the plan
sense.
Could have been, all right, they suck this year, and then they draft Trevor Lawrence. So, in other words, if Cam Newton didn't pass these physicals, obviously he did because he had foot surgery and he also had the shoulder issue. But if he didn't pass those physicals, then they're still stuck with Stidham. So they're just kind of lucky that he has improved his health and he looks like he can go out there and play.
Well,
it's still a question for me. I'm sorry, it just is.
Well, I mean, he may not play well, but it's a much better plan. And in my opinion, there was no way Bill Belichick was going to go out there and coach a team that won 3 games. He's just not a loser like that. He's not going to do that. I don't
know what other options they would have had.
Well, he would have found a way to grind wins because he's good, and it might have been a 7-9 season. But there's no way the Patriots were going to go 3-13 and have Bill just sort of passively lose 13. There's just no way.
No,
well, unless he thought Stidham was good enough to, get him near 500, which maybe he did.
Maybe he did.
All right, so Cakes, you didn't want to answer my question at first. Now let's get into it. Do you think that Cam will thrive in New England?
It's all dependent on his health. I mean, this is a guy who's had a lot of health issues.
Just assume he's healthy, because if you look at his numbers the last couple of years, he won the MVP in 2015. 2016 wasn't a good year. 19 touchdowns, 14 picks. Quarterback rating was 75. 2017 was a little bit better. 2018, I think, was pretty damn good, which would be his last healthy season. He played 14 games, 24 touchdowns with 13 picks. His quarterback rating was 94. And then last year, you basically got to toss out.
With him, what makes him special, obviously, is the rushing ability. If he's able to grind out 400 or 500 yards on the ground and score 6 or 8 rushing touchdowns, then yes, he'll be effective. If for whatever reason he can't replicate that rushing success, then to me he's just like, I don't know, the 12th or 14th best quarterback in the league. Yeah, you add the rushing element, then he's flirting with your top 6, top 8 type of guy.
Right. His MVP season, he ran for 636 yards and had 10 rushing touchdowns.
Right. I mean, he averages almost 40 rushing yards per game in his career.
Yeah. If you go back to 2018, 2 years ago, again, tossing out last year where I think he only played in 2 games, he ran for almost 500 yards but just 4 touchdowns. So it's certainly the rushing element is certainly not where it was in 2015, but he's capable, and I wonder if Bill Belichick will try and emphasize that, because that's what does make him special. That's what made him an MVP, is combining those and not just throwing the football. So I agree with you, Cakes. He's got to run the football like he did back in the day. I don't know if he's physically capable of doing that, though.
Right. Yeah, we just don't know. By the way, will there be 2 worse post-game interviews after losses than Bill Belichick and Cam Newton?
Probably not.
Probably back-to-back.
Yeah, there won't be 2 worse-dressed guys for different reasons.
Yeah, opposite ends of the spectrum.
I don't know. I mean, look, on paper, Cam Newton is obviously better than Jarrett Stidham, and we always say Bill Belichick makes players better, but Belichick's always had Tom Brady, always, and Brady's one of the greatest, if not the greatest. So now you give him a guy who's a 10-year vet who's had some injuries, who clearly is kind of past his prime of his MVP year. we just don't know. It's not like they've got a ton of weapons around them. So it's a big question mark for me. And then who knows what the season's going to look like? I'm not even convinced they're going to play a full season right now. So and then, Foxborough's not going to be that overwhelming home field advantage that it usually is.
And I saw somebody making the point on Twitter. I can't remember who it was, and Jason just touched on it. The supporting cast, the receivers might be bottom 2 or 3 in all of football. I mean, you have Edelman there, but you've got N'Keal Harry, you got a reduced Mohamed Sanu, you got a reclamation project in Marquise Lee who hasn't been able to stay on the field.
They've never had big receivers, sort of Randy Moss and Gronkowski. I mean, obviously Gronkowski.
But the reason they were good was because Brady was so good.
Brady made them good.
Right.
Cam Newton is not the accuracy that Tom Brady is.
There's no doubt.
So I'm not sure
I think it's going to be pretty good, and I think it'll be better than Stidham. So I'm not saying
probably
they're going to go
will
14-2, but I think that keeps them competitive. 9-7. 9-7's doable.
You wonder, just looking at Bill Barnwell's article on ESPN.com, you wonder if Belichick changes the offense. He's just speculating like we are, but he said based on the success of Lamar Jackson and the Greg Roman offense, maybe Bill Belichick lifts some of those concepts and applies it to this team. And, Bill Belichick, it seems, this is speculation, it seems like he wants to prove that he can win without Tom Brady.
No doubt.
As much as Tom Brady wants to prove that he can win without Bill Belichick. And so I could see Belichick going outside the box and completely changing the offense for Cam Newton.
Well, remember years ago he used to do that almost week to week. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
There would be weeks where all of a sudden Tom would chuck it 70 times, and there'd be the next week, it'd be totally different game plan. So I totally see him adapting to whatever he thinks Cam's strengths are. Come on, you're talking about arguably the greatest coach of all time. He's, and there's no way he's going to allow Tom to go down there in Tampa and flourish, and he's just going to roll over and win 3 games. That's another great point.
Are we convinced that Cam wins the job?
100%
he wins the job.
I think he has
what if they
to.
go to training camp and they were talking – really positively about Jarrett Stidham. What if Stidham somehow beats him out?
That could also be a function of Belichick is just trying to pump up his confidence, even though he knows that, he's going into the battle with a reduced quarterback in Stidham, a guy who doesn't have any experience.
I think Cam would have to really bomb.
He would have to stink to not win the job.
But you sleep that Belichick loves guys that know the offense inside and out. I mean, how much can Cam know it in the next few months?
He doesn't know well.
But they might not run the same offense.
And then
they're going to adapt to Cam's strengths.
Pretty difficult.
What are his strengths?
Dunks to the running back. That's pretty tough offense.
Come on.
I don't even know what his strengths are
Throw to
anymore.
Edelman. That's pretty tough. Drab.
If his strengths are throwing the guy's feet, okay, maybe they can devise an offense.
I'm
with
not
it.
as down on him as you are.
Well, yeah, Drab just sent us a tweet. The Twitter account is LaShrek, where it has Cam's stats since November of 2018. 0-8 as a starter, okay? I know some people don't value quarterback wins, but that's not even one win in 8 starts. In his last 4 starts, 0-4, 6 yards per attempt, 56% completion percentage, and just 2 for 15 on downfield throws.
You understand, he was hurt. That's why they shut him down. He was hurt. I mean, that's not fair. That's like
but Eric,
hurt.
even when he wasn't hurt and he was healthy, he wasn't the most accurate quarterback.
I understand.
Hey, and maybe that plays right into Belichick's plan with him is that he won't be, chucking the ball downfield. Maybe the short passing game is what Cam is best suited for at this
but
point,
he thrived
along with rushing the ball.
He thrived when he was running the football because you can go to Pro Football Focus's grades. So 2015 was the MVP year, but I'll start in 2014. His PFF grade had him 11th in the NFL for quarterbacks. Then the next year, his MVP season, he was 5th. His last 3 fairly complete seasons, 24th, 27th, 23rd. And they're looking at every throw.
Yeah. Well, again, it's not a huge risk in that they're not giving him a ton of money. He's got to earn that money.
Well,
but
if
also,
he starts 16 games, it's one of the greatest bargains in league history.
If he does, sure.
Yeah. Or even 14 games.
And when you ask, is he going to win the job? I mean, who knows? I would say yes. But if he didn't and Stidham won, is it good to have a guy like Cam Newton? I can't imagine he's like this big supportive veteran backup to a younger guy.
I wouldn't think.
But maybe he's changed his ways. Who knows?
I don't think that's an issue. I think he's going to win the job.
I think he probably will. I think he probably will too. I'm just not convinced that he's the difference maker and makes the Pats, a 6-win team.
I've seen the guy play
to a 10-win
well, team. And so I've seen him play poorly, but I've seen him play very, very well. So I don't know.